We saw the Death Riders arriving at the building at the start of this week's AEW Dynamite, and listen, that is a big deal, because I know if I was a boss and I had people on my books named the Death Riders, well, I wouldn't expect them to be punctual. When we cut to Renee Paquette, she was chatting to Jay White and Orange Cassidy. No message. Jay White made it clear that they get the deal. Of course, they have to coexist later as a team, because Hangman Adam Page is also going to be involved, because they have a tag team match against the Riders of Death. But of course, if they're not able to get through this, they won't get to the pay-per-view, and then nobody will be challenging for the world title. Now, the problem for Jay is that Hangman is an absolute idiot. And Page must have been behind a door going, man, I swear, if they insult me, I'm going to barge out here. Because he just appeared and he got right in Jay White's face and he was like, hey, no one can say anything about me. Also, I'd like to kill John Moxley. Then with Cassidy just putting his shades on and they walked off. Welcome to ups and downs, I suppose. But I will tell you this, give you a little bit of a spoiler. This AEW Dynamite was the best show that AEW has put on in ages. One of the most reasons for that is because of stuff like this. It was like, we are going to give you some entertainment, and then we're not going to let up, but also we're going to structure the show nicely. So, let's talk about it. That's the point of all this. Let's up those downs. Darby, Allin and Will Ospreay then cut 2 camera promos, which I always enjoy because 1, they were going to be having a match later, and 2, it makes it feel like we have gone back to the 80s. And I presume that this match was next, but it wasn't. I am an idiot. Instead, we got the scorecards for the C2 and where we are at the moment with it. When we saw that MJF was in the building, he's back. It was then right into our TBS title match because it was Mercedes Moné versus Anna Jay, and that rhymes, meaning it had to be good. And I am intrigued to see what we do with Anna in 2025 because she went to Japan, she came back a much better wrestler, and she did take on Mariah and lost, and then she took on Moné here and she lost as well. But I think we have something, so it's time to get in the kitchen and cook. At this stage, I want to mention the AEW presentation as well because they've been so smart here. I never want to talk about numbers and ratings. I think it gets way too boring. And mostly, I just want every single promotion to do as well as they possibly can. But moving things to a small arena and the way it was lit and how loud the crowd was, well, it just got you in your tum-tum, man. And you need the atmosphere. It's half the battle. And also massively assisted here too, because these guys were like, man, we are going to support Anna Jay until the cows come home. And that meant Mercedes Moné got a bunch of heat too. And they leaned into this. They had a damn fun match. I mean, Mercedes pretended she was going to shake Anna's hand and then slapped her around the face instead. I couldn't help it. I was like, well, I just got to call a spade here. What a mean thing to do. Moné then got the 3 amigos very early on, but she totally missed with the splash of the frogs when Jay decided, I didn't like what you did to my cheek, so she broke her neck with a neck breaker. Mercedes then countered the iconoclasm into a backstabber, which was very cool, when she used Jay's hair to pull her to the floor. I couldn't really get behind that one. Don't really know how it feels. And I couldn't possibly tell you why. Anna then scored with a blockbuster for a 1-2 when it was time for you go, I go, we all go. When she got the iconoclasm and she got the gory bomb, and of course she's won matches with that, so that was your little tease. But it didn't work. Mercedes Moné got to the ropes. The crowd then lost it when Anna applied the Queen's Sayer because they did believe. It turned out that was really, really stupid. Although Mercedes was then going for the statement maker and she was going for the Moné maker, but nothing was hitting. She was having a bad time. From nowhere though, she did get the sunset bomb and then basically knocked Anna Jay out with the double knees. When she did hit the Moné maker, this one looked pretty good, I thought. I know it can be hit and miss. 1, 2, 3. Chris Statlander was also shown watching this, so that's interesting, because currently Mercedes has kind of been going, I'll have one match and I'll move on to someone else, so maybe we'll be going back here, but yeah, Anna Jay totally brought it. Mercedes Moné is on fire right now. She had an excellent New Japan match at the weekend too, so surprise, surprise, she is really good at this. Give it up. FTR were then talking to us from their homes, because they had been murked by the Death Riders on Collision. All things considered, Dax and Cash would probably be pretty lucky. I mean, they're called the Death Riders, and they didn't kill him. Now, Cash Wheeler also gave the best speech ever, because he was like, listen, Death Riders, man, we understand where you're coming from, and we want to get behind and change AEW too, but we're not totally on board with the poisoning aspect of your plan. And then we see the footage, because do not forget, John Moxley and friends tried to pour cleaning fluid down Orange Cassidy's throat, which begs the question I've been asking for weeks now, why haven't they been arrested? Given that they were thrown onto the concrete floor, though they will not be cleared until 2025, but there is a Dynamite on the 1st of January, so why don't they all have a bit of a tag team match? And then FTR said they won't be coming alone. I was like, well, it's definitely not Batista then, because he definitely walks alone, but you know who their buddy is, and you know who it sounds like is cleared to return. it's Mr. Adam Copeland, and if we do that, it'll be totally fabo. When? Well, we talked about it. He's back. Before MJF did come to the ring, and he was wearing the greatest jacket I've ever seen in my life, and that made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, when he was like, oh, we're in Washington, everybody from Washington sucks, and so does your sports team. He also said Hanukkah was the real holiday here and Santa isn't real, so a couple of things. One, first of all, happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends, and also two, if you're a child watching, of course Santa Claus is real. I talked to him before I came in here, and look what he gave me. No, wait. That's the wrong thing, you idiots. There we go. Maxwell then switched into a very solemn voice and said that he had something very serious to talk to us about. And he even started playing some sad music, much like we have right now. He was also pretending to cry because there were some people that we need to make sure have some food so they can eat. And of course, he was talking about Adam Cole, and he had the most ridiculously photoshopped picture you've ever seen of Cole on the big screen. Listen. You don't want to laugh at this stuff, but you cannot help it, it's funny. I mean, that is just his superpower. He can make you laugh in spite of yourself. But he also talked about how yellow Adam Cole is, which was a joke at his tan, which is all the internet has been talking about recently. This is really good stuff. He also kept referring to him as Bay, so I was just on the floor when finally Adam Cole appeared. He was like, very funny, MJF. But here's the deal, dude. When we do fight at World's End, I talked to Tony Khan, and do you know who's gonna have my back in case you try to use that diamond ring? In walked Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. I was like, come on, bro. They are most definitely going to turn on you. The best part, though, is that Cole was super smart here, because then he was like, I totally forgot to tell you. This is a pre-recorded video. When he teleported in, he appeared behind Freeman, and he gave him a kick that was super. He was going to give him a Panama Sunrise too, but MJF ran away. So this was the best part of this angle so far, because of course it's been a little bit hoity-toity along the way, but now we've just gone, here's our babyface, here's our heel, and we have a focal point, which is their match at the pay-per-view. So yeah, listen, it has been a rough ride to get here, but I appreciate the fact we did continue. Like I say, I thought this was very well done. I'd also say that having MJF in the building helps massively, so now we'll have to wait and see what we do at the end of the year. But credit where credit is due, man. Let's get it up. Jamie Hayter was then backstage and was all like, well, you cannot fight what you cannot see, which is very true. She was referencing Julia Hart here, who keeps sneak attacking her from behind. Damn. Jamie isn't messing around though, so she challenged Julia to a fight in 2 weeks, which gives her time to prepare. When I tell you, my friends, we had a video for Kenny Omega, and we talked about the fact that Ken is coming back in that Tokyo Dome show in early January. This got me very excited. I think this is the first time that we have done this, and we should just go on and on and on and remind people that Kenny Omega is a super duper whooper megastar. When he does finally return to All Elite Wrestling, that's how he should be portrayed. There was kind of a tease here that maybe we'll see him on Dynamite before we get to 2025, but either way, when he does walk back through those doors, shine the biggest spotlight on him, man. Because whether you like it or not, Kenny Omega is a generational talent. When we had one of those AEW matches that just made me laugh, because it was Christian Cage and Nick Wayne taking on Hook and Shibata. Imagine I told you that was going to happen back in 2019, you would have booted me right in my bald face. Wayne and Hook started off, which of course ties into their match they're going to be having soon, when Shibata tagged in. Christian Cage was like, nah, I don't want any of this. Do you think I'm stupid? And he basically ran away like a coward. Shibata didn't care about that though, so he chopped the shit out of him, and even when his fake son tried to help, Cage and Nick Wayne were thrown to the outside. The baby faces were riding high. They most definitely weren't doing this. Christian then basically threw Nick to the wolves, and Hook beat him up so bad he was able to apply the red rum. But after a terrified Wayne ran him into the corner, that kind of created some chaos like Dr. Robotnik. So what did Christian do? He went after Hook's broken hand. And yes, that's always going to work. Hook was really good here though, because after he did mount his comeback, he basically had to do it as a one-arm man, when of course he got the hot tag to Shibata, and he got the memo and he ran wild. Mother Wayne was great here as well, because she was so terrified for her son, although Nicholas held up his own, because even though Shibata booed him in the face, Nick booed him in the face back. But then, yeah, Shibata grabbed him and gave him an STO. That really scared Christian, so he snuck in. He tried to hit a sneaky kill switch, which, as we know, is the most terrifying of the kill switches. But once again, that didn't work at all. Nick then went for the Wayne's World, but he flew right into a choke by Shibata. This was when Kip Sabian was like, I can cause distraction too. So Shibata was like, damn it, well now I've got to let go of my stranglehold and deal with you. Hook was then back with a Red Rum Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. But by this point, Mother Wayne on the outside was just a distraction machine. When Christian Cage realised, oh my gosh, the referee isn't looking, he snuck in there, he did get the sneaky kill switch, That allowed Nick Wayne to get the 1-2-3. I don't know he knew much about it. A win is still a win though, and bless Christian and Mother Wayne, because they continued to just freak out as they knew Hook was about to stalk them. And all of this was just fun. And of course it means probably that Hook will finally go through the patriarchy and win, and that also doesn't matter because Christian has his magic contract, and that's going to keep him over and in the public sights anyway. So all of this worked. It was just a nice build, like I say, to all these matches. Let's get it up. We have a Chris Jericho video next, and as we are heading to New York, he gave us a bunch of facts about the city, and I think he got every single one of them wrong. He had his Ring of Honor title with him as well as he did explore New York, and of course this is all leading to the Final Battle pay-per-view, where we are getting Chris Jericho versus Matt Cardona. Now listen, I'm going to go out of my way to watch that because I just like how it looks on paper, and there's a rumor out there that Matt Cardona is signed with AEW, and you damn right. I mean, if you actually look about how wrestling works, who deserves a contract more than him? I hope it's true. We also got another video for Bandido, and once again, AEW is doing such a good job with these, and I can't wait to see him back. When we cut to Mariah May, because at World's End, she's taking on Thunder Rosa in a street fight. Now, she questioned why Thunder stopped being a social worker to wrestler, and she presumes she's trying to make her family proud, when she said a hero is just a dreamer who realized that they're never gonna reach their dream, or something like that. She was basically being insulting. May is totally different though, because she has focused on herself since day one, and it's worked out pretty well. And also, if AEW had signed her 4 years ago, Thunder Rosa wouldn't even be in the company, because she wouldn't be needed. Tell you, shots fired. Mariah then accepted this street fight and even told Thunder to bring her father, because she can think of nothing better than ending 2 generations in one night. And she also wants to see if failure runs in the family. So if this is what we're doing in the build, well, I would keep an eye on Thunder Rosa, my friends. I do believe she's going to respond in kind. It does mean we've got some beef though. When you take all these 3 segments and put them together, I am giving it an up because it was basically just promotion, promotion, promotion. Do not forget that literally wrestling never ends, so you have to keep people excited and you have to keep them on their tootsie toes. That's exactly what AEW did. That's exactly why it gets it up. Speaking of which, I think this is apparently going to cause some controversy. Ricochet then came out to cut a promo, and I am very excited about what we may be doing. Now at first, Ricochet was talking about the weekend because he is taking on Will Ospreay in the C2, and you can say whatever you like about that feud, but as soon as I heard that was the date, I was like, well, I'm going to go out of my way to watch it. Mission success. Tony then wanted to know why Rick had been such a goober in this match last week. Ricochet was like, all right, yeah, I did go to the dark side a little bit, but didn't it look good on me? Now listen, just Ricochet's total approach to all of this, he was kind of coming across like a little bit of an arrogant dickhead. That's what got me pumped. Now he couldn't say anything else because that woke the Hurt Syndicate. Right away, Ricochet was like, man, look at us together. We look really good. When Bobby Lashley strangled Ricochet, which was the theme of the evening, which is when MVP got the business card that he had given Ricochet a few weeks ago, he ripped it up. Now, yes, as Umvup stated, this is because Ricochet was being a kiss-ass. This is when Ricky just left the ring after going, Shelton, good luck in the C2. Maybe I'll meet you at some point. But listen, it was just the way that we had kind of sent Ricochet out there as a totally different person. And I think this suited him way better. Now, it has led to some people going, oh my gosh, Ricochet looked like such a goof in this segment. But I think that was totally the idea. Like, there's always this constant chatter about Ricochet in WWE and Ricochet in AEW. But I don't think it comes down to match quality, and I don't think it comes down to promos. I think that he's never really been allowed to sort of stick a persona out there in the wrestling world. And now he's picked this one. I don't know, man, there's just something about it. I think it's going to work. He's also continuing on social media, and there's just an air to it like, man, my ship doesn't stink, no matter what you say. So if we do keep this going, I think it could end up where we want it to be. I mean, he could just be asshole Ricochet, who obviously can go in the ring. And when he was skulking away, all I could think was, man, this kind of feels like that Britt Baker promo that she cut on Tony Schiavone about him working in Starbucks. And I remember back then, I felt the same way. And everyone was like, oh man, it's going to be absolutely terrible. And given that my batting average for that one was pretty good, I am giving it an up, because I believe in this mother hubbard dickhead known as Ricochet. And I'm going to throw another up in there as well, because given that the Hurt Syndicate was still in the ring, we went right into our C2 match, which was the Beast Mortos versus Shelton Benjamin. So once again, look how far we have come. A few years ago, Shelton Benjamin had to look curiously around a room when he was doing those weird WWE promos. This way is much better. MVP was on commentary too, which is never a bad thing, and Shelton threw the Beast Mortos around, who responded by doing a head scissors. Instantly, I was like, yep, this is going to be pretty good. Mortos also flipped out of a hip toss and landed on his feet. And that ought to be said out loud because of a weird guy. When was the last time we saw a beast do that? He then did try to walk the ropes, which was a terrible idea because Shelton wiggled them a little bit, meaning the beast Mortos landed right on his penis. So now we know that the beast does have testicles and a groinal region. When Benjamin just smashed him right in the face, here we go. MVP then kind of mentioned that Benjamin had to have some work done on his knee recently. When Matt Menard on commentary tried to join in, MVP just told me to shut up, so I was laughing again. When back in the ring, I've said it once, I'll say it twice, it was just you go, I go, we all go. The fans were super into this as well, and Mortos then headbutted Shelton, who came back with that super kick. And I tell you, there are a lot of kicks that are super in wrestling. Right now, Shelton Benjamin may be number one. He also started hitting all of his German suplexes, and given the time of year, I was like, I wonder where Krampus is. When he hit this knee on Beast Mortos, which I thought was going to shatter his face, he hit the D-bone suplex, and he got the 1, 2, 3. That is more points for Shelton Benjamin. So this presentation of Shelton is just the best as well, and afterwards the Hurt Syndicate hung around going, we're going to murk everyone. When out came Danny Garcia, because of course these lot are about to meet in the C2. This did come after MVP had called him a bit of an idiot, so Garcia's another one that must have been backstage going, listen, everyone, if I hear one thing bad about me, I am going to go out there, and man, did he look like a fool, because he was like, I'm not getting in the ring, I've done the mass, and there's 3 of you, and 1 on me. When Mark Briscoe joined him, and they attacked, I was like, bros, it's still me, it's 3 on 2. Surprise, surprise, the Hurt Syndicate killed them. It got so bad, Benjamin actually even held the TNT title aloft, and I can't lie, I want to see that in the future. And the whole time, the fans were chanting for the Hurt Syndicate, and I was too. Because you can't help it, they are too cool, not the tag team from the 2000s. That was a stupid thing to say, but I've said it once, I'll say it twice, this one's getting it up. Moné was then interviewing Ricochet, and he went Britney Spears, man, because he did it again. Because he made a great point that he didn't understand why MVP ripped up the business card, because he only had the business card because MVP gave it to him in the first place. Also, screw that, don't worry about it, because Ricochet's going to win the C2. It'll be even better this Saturday when he does beat Will Ospreay. And listen, of course he came to AEW to take on people like William, but he also wants to whoop everybody else's ass too. He then made that weird noise again when he goes, ha ha! It sounds like some kind of bird or something, but I do like it. We're just trying to get across that he is becoming arrogant. When behind him was just Prince Nana and Swerve Strickland. Where the flub did they come from? They must have teleported. I think the Swerve called him a turd of all things, but also said, oh, well, surprise, surprise, Trevor, your true side is showing. And I like that too, because that adds context to all of this. He's like, oh, well, you used to perform in front of the camera, but now we're all seeing your real self. Ricky didn't back down though, because he was like, of course you're mad, Strickland. You know that I'm about to win the Continental Classic, and you were in this last year, and did you do well? No, you did not. You totally failed. Some more shots fired. He then walked away in the most arrogant way possible. And listen, I was kind of divided on this because I like Ricochet and I like Prince Nana and Swerve. But then, after he had gone out of the camera frame, Swerve Strickland basically said, that's why he's still bald. And I was like, man, I can't wait until Mother Nature walks up on you and whoops your ass, and you too, Nana, because you laughed about this, and you will not be allowed into the Bald Brotherhood. And you know what? I don't have a lot of power in my life, but I am giving you a down. Leave the bald people alone. Honestly, though, I really do think there's something to this, and of course, I could be completely wrong, so we will wait and see. And it's always good having Swerve Strickland on your screen in 2025, because what did he do over the last 12 months? He went and turned himself into a main eventer. So I really do hope we look back on this segment and go, oh my gosh, it opened the door to so many things. But I am a patient Pete, so we shall wait and see. When AEW continued the home run they started last week. Shout out to all the crazies who totally ignored what I sent at the end of last week's episode of Ups and Downs for Dynamite. But come Rampage, come Collision, we basically learned that Timeless Toni Storm has forgotten that she was Timeless Toni Storm, and she's forgotten that she ever signed with AEW. So she was doing a sit-down interview here with RJ City, who should always be featured more. She was just like, man, I am so happy I have inked this brand new deal. The good part about this is it means hopefully Toni has forgotten about that WWE segment she had to do with Charlotte Flair and the Pie. I shouldn't have been brought up with that. And after a while, RJ City was like, what are you talking about? What about being a 3-time women's champion? But Storm took that as something she could do in the future. She was like, oh, you silly boy. Wouldn't that be great? RJ finally went, well, let's talk about Timeless Toni Storm. She was like, no, it's Toni time, because she has gone back to the rock and roller when she did walk out Honestly, this made me laugh out loud. She looked right into the camera and she was just so gleeful because she had signed with AEW, which actually happened like 3 years ago. So I'm sorry, this is the best part of professional wrestling and she plays it great and RJ City was great too. So yes, what I said 7 days ago was I just would have enjoyed the commentators going, what is going on here? But that was a pedantic nerd thing that actually didn't make any difference to anything. And in terms of the execution, well, it kind of ties into the entirety of 2024. Tony Storm just gets it. Tony Storm is getting it up. I mean, this is the way that I try and approach my own professional wrestling in my own life, which you can watch on Triller TV or Demand Progress or on many other streaming services, and you can come tell me what an idiot I am. When we got to the best match of the night, and maybe one of the best matches of the year. Let's talk about doing a 180. It was back to the C2, and it was Will Ospreay versus Darby Allin. If I could get away with it, I would just stand here for the next 5 minutes and clap, because this was bloody brilliant. And the crowd had already decided this was a massive deal as they chanted holy shit before they even two locked up, when they dodged and they ducked and they dived and they weaved and they just did all of this crazy stuff. Like, I'll try and recount some of it to you. What you really need to do is go and watch it. And for those people that also come at me on social media and go, I don't like this stuff, I have some great advice for you. You're gonna love it. You ready? Drum roll. Brum. Just don't watch it. William eventually missed a dive, so Darby was like, well, I'm going to do my crazy version to you. When Allin climbed up to the top rope and he did a coffin drop and he missed and he went right into the ring apron. Now, not only is this the hardest part of the ring, but you honestly got this noise. I don't know how Darby still has a back, and given that it is the holiday season, somebody should gift him a new one. The sequence after this just has to be seen to be believed, especially the part when Will Ospreay went for the Stormbreaker and Darby turned that into the Code Red. Now, he'd already been trying to go for the Code Red, so the fact that he got it there, like it wasn't the finish, but if it had been the finish, I totally would have understood. I think that was just better looking than Brad Pitt, to be completely honest with you, which is a very strange reference. And after Darby had got away with the OsCutter, we basically got to where we always get, which is Allin just suffering so much punishment as you ponder, how is this guy still walking? I don't understand how he does it. There's also this great bit too when Darby was able to hit the coffin drop and he only got a 1-2, and that's when we got the secret sauce, because your brain was like, well, I presume Ospreay's going to win, so that's why he kicked out. But what if the double tease and Darby's going to get the victory, because deep down you just didn't know. I mean, you wouldn't have bet your life on it, which would have been a really dumb idea, because it's just wrestling. You don't want to be 6 feet under when we got a stars clash to the outside. The noise that made, the thud. How did nobody break a bone? Now, Ospreay was able to get back in the ring, but he was so beat up, he was like, ref, just count him, who cares? But of course, Darby got back in there at 9.9999. But Ospreay was able to hit the OsCutter, but when he went for the Breaker of Storms, I tell you, man, Allin somehow turned that into the Scorpion Death Drop. It was one of my favourite reversals for a long old time. Despite having 0 HP left too, Darby then went to the top rope and he hit one coffin drop. When he started to go up there again, I was like, well, he's either missing this and losing, or if he does hit it, I guess he's going to win, and flubbed me sideways. He did score with it, and Darby Allin just beat William Ospreay. Damn! So that was a really weird noise that just came out of my mouth. It just goes to show that we do have the spiritual successor to Bryan Danielson, Will Ospreay, who is just happy to lose and lose and lose. But honestly, this is the good stuff when it comes to the C2. And if you have 12 minutes today, you should go and watch this. It is so damn good. It's getting it up. I don't know whether we were short on TV time either, but the Death Rider just came storming out for the main event. But this worked too, because they all looked at Darby, and Darby looked at them, because they are super serious. Moxie, Pac and Yuta are also going to take on Cassidy, Hangman Page and Jay White to set up everything that's going down at World's End. And I'll tell you this for free, mostly because it is YouTube. It was just a barrel of laughs. I mean, it really was exactly what you would expect, but Hangman was so desperate to get his hands on Jon Moxley because he hated him. At one point, he was going to do it, and Jay White blind tagged himself in. This is why I love Page. He was like, oh, that's how it's going to go, is it? Fine. And he just left. That's right, he walked out on them, so now it was just a 3-on-2 handicap match. Claudio Castagnoli was also on the outside going, distraction, distraction. This is when Pac hit the most wonderful German suplex you've ever seen in your life. I love it. Now, Moxie had kind of been avoiding Orange Cassidy too, but given that Cassidy had just been murked, he snuck back in here. But Orange must have taken his Phoenix down, because after he had done the little kicks, he hit this DDT, so it was whammo, here we go. Wheeler then zoomed in to stop the Stun Dog Millionaire, but then Jay White decided he wanted to hit a suplex when all of a sudden Orange was back, and he hit a superplex on Pac. And I did it again. Just such good wrestlers. Mox then used the Fours because he felt all of this and he hit a cutter. when all of a sudden Hangman Adam Page was back, I suppose because he was watching on a monitor from the back, and he went, well, that Johnny Boy's in the ring, I'm going to go get him. That really didn't work out because he wanted the buckshot, but instead Cassidy was getting involved. When the cowboy, I swear, was going to hit the buckshot lariat onto Orange Cassidy, he ducked at the last second, meaning at least Page took out Wheeler Yuta instead. But you cannot trust this guy. Jay White then got in the ring and he hit the Blade Runner on Pac. And that's when all of these guys started yelling at each other. Because of course they can't coexist and they're all going to be zapped into the Phantom Zone. So John Moxley watched this, he was like, alright. And he snuck up behind Orange Cassidy and he hit the most devastating move. In all sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. 1, 2, 3. Now Cassidy was totally livid about this and started yelling at Page and White, going, we need to win the world title. And I was like, well, it's going to be like this at the pay-per-view anyway, so you may as well fall out now. It meant they didn't see what the Death Riders were doing, because all of a sudden they had snuck up onto the ring, and they had chairs, and I was like, sorry, babyfaces, you're about to die. Moxie didn't seem to care, because he just walked off with Marina Shafir, and it just meant that our heroes could beat up our villains, meaning this episode of Dynamite ended with the good guys standing tall. So I do not think that John Moxley is losing his championship at the pay-per-view and probably will go to Australia and do him versus Jay White and then get into the Darby Allin stuff. I still have this kind of feeling in my Tootsie Toes that we should probably go all the way with Hangman Adam Page. He just feels like the main character all of the time. This was a great main event. I had a good old time. It's getting it up. And I truly do think this was the best Dynamite for a while as well, and even though I'm going to sound like an absolute goober and you should get mad at me, it really felt like the old AEWs. And that doesn't mean that everything's going to turn around, but in terms of trying to stumble back on this atmosphere, totally smashed it up. Now, of course, let me know how wrong and stupid I am in the comments below. Before you like the video, share the video, and please do subscribe. Click the video on the screen for my ups and downs for Monday Night Raw to make sure you get all of my daft opinions about professional wrestling. But otherwise, my friends, have a truly wonderful day. I'll see you soon.